So this is the city commission meeting for Thursday, August 13th at 6 o'clock at City Hall. Our invocation tonight will be given by Ralph Lopez. I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance, so please stand.
Let's bow our heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you today for the opportunity to come together to work for our citizens, Lord. We ask for your guidance in our decisions, and we ask you to just watch over us all and watch over our city and our state and our country. We just ask you to keep us safe as we travel to and from here, and just bless us, Lord. All this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did you get it on?
Roll call, please.
Mayor Litchfield,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis,
Here.
Commissioner Moya,
Here.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Here.
Are there any considerations of changes or deletions to the agenda?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Public comments? Did we have anybody sign up tonight?
We do need to get a motion approving the agenda.
Right, okay. So I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as is.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as is.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis,
Yes.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes. Excuse me. And we didn't have anyone sign up or call in.
No, ma'am.
Next is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is approved by a single motion. Any member of the commission may request an item be transferred to the regular agenda from the consent agenda without discussion or vote. And tonight on the consent agenda, we would have the approval of the July 23rd commission meeting minutes. And that's all.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Moya,
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Next is ordinances and resolutions. Resolution 2020-30 is approval of the municipal records, retention policy and email retention guidelines.
I will present that, Mayor and Commissioners. This has been long overdue. Resolution 2020-30 is the municipal records retention policy and the email retention guidelines. I think about a year and a half ago, I sent, well, first, let me explain that the state had a retention schedule. A couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, they repealed that state law. They recreated it, but they excluded municipalities. So myself, along with maybe 15, 20 other city clerks around the state got together and we came up with this policy. So this is what we came up with. You'll see on there that it addresses things like zoos, which we obviously don't have a zoo. It talks about municipalities and jails and their records. We obviously don't have a city jail, but it is for the state, for municipalities as a whole, not just individually. So this here will allow me to be able to destroy documents that have been long overdue. We have 3 rooms plumb full of boxes, and I'd say we're probably going to be able to get rid of at least anywhere from 50 to 70% of those.
Good.
And so we'll be able to organize it, clean it up. This here also includes emails. So, and you'll see the guidelines, they're attached, and also the retention schedule. So with that, I ask for your all's approval of my resolution 2020-30.
Is there any other discussion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have a question for you. The question is, how many years back are you required to retain them?
So you will see that's what's on that list. You'll see that, for example, non-record materials.
Oh, here it is.
there is no retention. So administrative files, manager, department head files, up to 5 years. So each item is retained for a certain period of time.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
so, just for the record, so us as commissioners, we are subject to this as well with our city emails, if we are utilizing our personal devices for any city business.
So before deleting any emails, we are to use this guideline and this retention schedule. So if, let's go say, I don't know, employee eligibility verification form, that's usually human resources. If there's any conversation regarding these forms, then we are to keep those emails for 3 years from the date of hire or 1 year from the date of separation of employment. So those emails are to be treated as if they were a hard copy. That's the purpose of having the retention time frame and the item each listed, so.
So does that go into effect as of today if it's voted through? So if something comes up from, say, last week or last month, because I got emails before that I was like, I didn't even read, I just started to delete.
Right, I would say from this point forward, if it's approved, do not delete anything and, archive it in a folder in your email. If something comes up, if you have a discussion with a neighbor and the other neighbor finds out and wants to know what you discussed, it's open for inspection. So we need to keep it until, let's go say it's, like I said, something, if it's regarding the restaurant, of course, it's something different. But if it's regarding city business, then, and you go through this list and it tells you, okay, so anything regarding employment, let's say, keep for 10 years, then you keep that email for 10 years. We are to treat emails as if they were hard copies pursuant to this list, of course.
Thank you.
Does that make sense? Did I answer?
So if our terms are 4 years, if, something would happen, we didn't run again, we didn't win our reelection, are we supposed to turn those documents over?
I would say probably put them on a flash drive and we would have to save them.
Okay.
Or your Surface would be transferred to the person that would take your place. So that's assigned to District 4, but the next one would take your Surface, so we would do the same thing,
And any such emails that come with it?
correct?
Which is why we try to emphasize to utilize the city used equipment, the Surface and whatnot, and then use the city issued email address. That way there's no worry. You don't want to commingle personal business with city business.
So I will bring, just heads up, I will bring hopefully at the next commission meeting, a list of boxes that I'm gonna ask for approval to destroy. And like I said, there's, how many boxes, like 500 and something boxes,
Oh my
what I went
gosh.
through. Yeah, so there were quite a bit.
And that's probably just a portion, huh?
That's all of them, that's all of the boxes. But I think maybe 50, 60, maybe 65% we'll be able to get rid of. Yeah. And he asked how we plan on getting rid of it, destroying them. Because there's so many, I'm hoping to call banks to see if maybe we can piggyback off of their shredding company when they come to town. And then keep up with it every year. And after that point, we would go over to the landfill and destroy them there, bury them. And I would have to witness that.
all right,
Answer
so
your question?
I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 2020-30.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2020-30.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Guerrero,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis,
Yes.
Commissioner Webb.
Yes.
Okay, well, have fun.
So,
Next is bids and contracts, Tucumcari Airport Taxiway A and B rehab, contract modification.
Good evening, Mayor Commissioners. We've got the airport taxiway project underway in construction now, and it has generated a change order already. They call it a contract modification. They're asking for an additional, and I forgot my glasses, I apologize, $8,250 for 3 signs that were on the plans, but not on the bid proposal when it was bid out. So they would have been on the project anyway, but they were just accidentally omitted from the bid proposal at the time of the bid. And then also we have a shortening of the contract time since we didn't award all the additive alternates on it. They're adjusting the time down accordingly. And that's really about it. I guess if you have any questions.
You said 8,250, right?
Say again, sir?
8,250?
Yes, sir. If I'm seeing correctly, I apologize.
He didn't bring his glasses.
Yeah, I forgot my glasses.
No, and then this increase will be, you said, for what reason again?
It's for some signs, some airport signs, some non-lighted signs on the taxiway. They're the ones that tell where the name of the taxiway and where to turn off of the runway. And they were in the plans, but they just got omitted from the bid documents, so they're just being added to make the plans correct. They are required.
Their part? This was an overlook on their part?
Yeah, it was something that would have been in the agreement anyway. It just got omitted in the bid proposal. It wasn't the plans.
We put it in the plan, and when they made a bid, they overlooked that part. Is that,
If
am
I'm
I getting that right?
Well, I think so. They should have been in the bid proposal. There was no place for the contractor, I guess, to put a price on them originally. They are required by FAA. And it's at no cost to the city, I should add too. This one's 100% FAA grant. They'll pick it up. And we had a little money left over anyway, since we didn't award the second.
Let me ask you a question. Since it's 8,250, does he throw the bid at the lowest bid higher? Because that must have been the lowest of the bid.
The bid's already been accepted.
I know it's been
Yeah.
accepted, but since.
No, it wasn't even close. It was within, I think, $100,000 difference between the,
Well,
so it's not anywhere close. I see what you're saying. Yes, sir.
Because then we got a problem.
But it's
Even though
completely,
the federal government's paying for it, but the problem is bids have to be, that's why we have bids.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, it's not anywhere close to that. It was at least $100,000 difference in the bids.
So as-
Yes,
Ralph, so correct me if I'm wrong, so you're saying the engineer never actually put it as part of the bid packet? It was in the plans, but it was never on the actual.
That's what I
bid side.
understand. When I asked Mark about it, he said that it was actually taken out by addendum for some reason. I don't know if it was, and I did not see a copy of the addendum when it was bid out. For some reason, I got omitted in that loop. But, he said it was originally in there, they taken out, and I don't know, and erroneously not replaced back in, or if it was done on purpose, I'm not sure.
Yeah, 'cause usually bids are awarded, we shouldn't really come in and addendum all the time to add more costly to it.
Mhm.
That's why we bid, that's why they're bid. And I get things like this are very essence and
Right.
importance in order to operate.
Well, the bids would have still been apples and apples because both
No, I
contractors
understand
were
that
working
part,
under the
it's just a
same
matter
bid
of
proposal,
business
so.
and How it's done.
Okay, so just as procurement officer for the city of Tucumcari, we are allowed to receive change orders. As long as it doesn't change the quality of the scope of work, we are allowed to change orders. I mean, we get them all the time, but just for clarity.
How far high can we go in changing orders?
As long as it doesn't change the quality of the scope of work.
So that means we could award the contract and then somebody comes in, says we need to amend $100,000 more, would that be considered to be part of that?
It's part, we're allowed to do change orders. The dollar amount, I'm sure there's not an amount on the change order.
There should be one, because
definition,
actually that
but-
can be very abusive and manipulation. Okay, thank you.
so I would entertain a motion to, accept the Tucumcari Airport Taxi A and B rehab contract modification.
I'll make a motion that we accept the Tucumcari Airport Taxiway A and B rehab contract modification.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ayas,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem
Yes.
Duplantis,
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Commissioner Ganado.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Under new business, the decision from the executive session regarding limited personnel matters, the hiring of the new city manager. I would entertain a motion to table this until we can get more information that we need.
I'll make a motion that we table this until the information request that is provided.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva.
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Excuse me, under new business, B, decision from the executive session, 10-15-1H7, meeting subject to the attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened or pending litigation in which the public body is or may become a participant. What do you want to do about that? Do you want to, we were gonna table that also, weren't we, and talk about it?
You can table it.
Okay.
Or just move forward based on the recommendation, what we discussed in the executive session, but, it's probably cleaner just to table it till the next meeting when we're ready.
So I would entertain a motion to table this decision also.
I'll make a motion that we table this decision as well.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Moya.
Yes.
Commissioner Villanueva.
Yes.
Commissioner Arias.
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield.
Yes. Next is the city manager's report.
Yes, ma'am. So, again, I want to reiterate and thank the YCC crew members as they wrap up this week. I'm sure you haven't been out, everybody should get out and go look at the local city parks. Look great, a lot of bright paint out there, replaced basketball goals. Great group of individuals, good hard work from them, from community development on managing the grants. So I'd like to thank them for all their efforts. Also within the past 2 weeks, it's been a busy 2 weeks. So before I prepare my report, I try to think of the high points. I'm happy to announce that last Friday, I was able to work with Daniel Zamora, the GIS emergency manager for the county, and we're able to go through a lot of the E911 dispatch inconsistencies in the data of the GIS system. We are required monthly to submit those changes, and we had a couple hours on Friday. We were able to knock down a lot of the errors, and that's important because this could become a life and death situation. We got to make sure that everything's talking the way it should have to the GIS system, the mapping, and the CAD system out of the dispatch. So I'm happy to say that we got a lot of those errors corrected last Friday. Also last Friday, I was able to submit the application for the CARES Act funding. We are currently attempting as the city to recover and get reimbursed for some of the PPE costs that were associated with COVID-19, as well as some of the costs due to overtime because of COVID, due to shortage in staff and increased volume of calls. So I submitted that. I'm hoping to get good news. They said it takes 10 days to receive some information on what's going forward with the application. So I'm hoping it's in the right direction to our advantage, but I couldn't go down without at least a 5, so we had to at least attempt to get that.
What's the amount?
I requested around $13,000. You have to have the supporting documentation. It's a strict set of guidelines on which you could actually attempt to recover, and most of it's for personal protective equipment or those fields directly related to public safety. So those were the hits based on overtime and the amount we paid for PPE. And also I want to give an update. The last thing is on Mr. Aragon's property. I had been unsuccessful on getting any communication back from the office out in Nebraska for Union Pacific Railroad. The local guys have been awesome. Their communication is great. I call and answer all the time. But unfortunately, things were dragging on, and I felt I did what the city needed to do and step up. I still don't have verification, but we went ahead and were able to trim the trees and remove some debris and help get that effort situated that way. We're no longer creating damage. I understand some of the runoff is from our streets. Do I think it's solely the responsibility of the city? I don't. Do I think, I'm in no way admitting liability, but I think it came down to a point where enough was enough and we had to do something. So that has been completed. We did get the pothole machine up and going again, and unfortunately, it is down again due to electrical issues. So part of the goals moving forward, I've talked to our finance director about it, is we may need to look at saving money and moving some around maybe from the infrastructure fund to buy a new pothole machine if we can in the future, but
We almost got one.
almost,
And we didn't work.
Almost.
Or we should have called the governor, because Senator Campos already got it approved. The only thing was the final one track.
Correct.
And there was a lot more behind that too.
got cut from that.
Got one question for you. How old is that machine that you guys lost?
That machine is now roughly maybe only going on 4 years,
Or 5?
4 or 5 years.
And what's the other one for, the county and the city, what happens on?
That is something I've heard stories about. I've never gotten an actual story. That was many, many, many years ago.
I remember when I worked for the county.
To my knowledge, it's inoperable. Because if it was operable, we'd be using it for downtime. Yeah, no problem. And that is all.
Okay, thank you. Next is commissioners, items from commissioners. Commissioner Villanueva, we'll start with you tonight.
Okay, I just wanna thank Linda and her crew at the library. I don't know if you all been down there to check it out. It's good. And I wanna thank the employees at the cemetery. It looks pretty good. And, I wish we could get our roads fixed, but, and then I got another complaint, I don't know if I told you guys about the kids hanging around on First Street. So Megan doing.
At the Harmon's or Megan's or whatever it was, yeah.
And, people are complaining about, cause they're not 6 foot apart, they're all together in a bunch. And what can we do about that?
So in regards to violating any public health order, that has to be directed through state police. We are the enforcing agency on that side. As far as loitering and trespassing, there's nothing we can do as a police department unless it comes from the property owner. And knowing that property, it is tied up in so many different ways with lanes and through the bank. The only attempt that we could do to remedy that, I believe, is try to reach out to property profiles at the county assessor's office, and try to reach out to the bank that it's underneath and ask them to give us authority to consider them trespassing and post signs that we can enforce, but we cannot legally go onto private property and kick them off without the permission of the property owner.
That's it for me.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Moya?
First of all, I'd like to finally thank the fact is that we finally were able to help Mr. Argon with his problem. Like I said, it's one of those things that it's hard to deal with, but at the same time, whether we admit it or not, it's hard to have our street flooded. Certainly, I'm glad we're able to help him out. Because it's just that the more you pay, the more you got. Water runs down, so that's great. I'm glad we have been able to help out there. The other thing is, this is a saga that keeps going on, and it's an interesting one. And that is you have pontoon boat, or whatever you call that thing.
On my yacht?
Yeah, your yacht. What is the deal is, I heard that they just parked you in the back of the factory, and I don't know, they just.
I coordinate that because there's too much complaints about a safety issue, and then it's out there and the eyesore. So the quick immediate fix was to mitigate that ASAP. And Commissioner Duplantis, myself, or Commissioner Duplantis set some things up, and we were able to get it towed behind the back of the old broomhorn factory. At this time, we're still looking into the owner. I've sent an email out. We're trying to get everything situated. However, it's not completely resolved. Ultimately, I know everybody wants justice. They want whoever the responsibility is to be held accountable and go through the process. I agree with that. We're working on it. However, yes, it is still parked behind the broomhorn factory.
Yeah, because that neighborhood was a little upset. I wasn't even aware where it was, to be honest with you. Why can't we just dispose of that stupid thing?
We could, that's
been over a year battling this thing.
So I've been given 2 different directives, and if you give me one solid directive from the commission, I'll move forward with it, but I've been told we need to go after and get justice for the people that dropped it off. If not, we could get rid of it. I could get rid of it tomorrow if we needed to.
Yeah, but the whole deal is that we're assuming liability if anybody continues to mess with that thing.
Which it shouldn't be. It'd be trespassing at that point because it's behind a locked gate.
People do what they want to anyway. and kids are terrible sometimes. They're good kids, but sometimes the curiosity gets the better of them. They go in there. The thing that we might do is get rid of the saga, even if it's to be crunched by those people over there who crunch them. I think, nothing's coming out, no resolution, no nothing. I mean, this was a thing that happened when it was on the street. It was a safety hazard. It should have been handled by the police department. Why it was not, and we made it aware at that time, it should have been, that boat did not even have tickets on that for over a month and a half, and the residents started complaining because it was right in the middle of the street. And so nothing happened. And any time a vehicle was abandoned on the city street should have been handled, and it was not even handled by nuisance or any of the ordinance. So all of a sudden, it just became an issue because we had to deal with it as a commission because the residents in that neighborhood was the one who brought it up. And I'm not picking on you, you're not the one that was in charge, it was the other past person. But I'll be honest with you, this thing was mishandling from the beginning, and it continued. It's not continuing to be mishandling, it continues to be a procrastination of a ghost vote, you might say, that we must need to either make it history and either melt it down and do something with it. I'm tired of the residents coming to and talking to me about it. And I keep telling them, I don't know what else to do. I know it was inappropriate, but the problem is the city dropped the ball from the beginning because they did not proceed that we would be required to do on any abandoned vehicle that is on our street. And this was left in the middle, practically in the middle of the street on Rock High. I don't know what the commission wants to do, but for my part, just do whatever you need to do, just get rid of it.
You want to put it on the agenda for the next time for us to vote on? Or can we just tell you tonight?
I'm fine.
Actually,
It's a matter.
You pick the move.
can I say something about that? First off, they didn't go directly to you. I was put on a lot of false accusations. However, the reason I'm saying we go after them now because it was private money that got that boat moved, and it was moved not to hide it, but to put it at least in a safe, secure spot. And if somebody does jump over it, it is trespassing. But I agree with you. Some should have been done at the beginning, but nothing was. And nobody came to me about it. I just had accusations about me about it. And I got tired of it, so I went to another district and took care of the problem there. I say we file charges, but I agree with you. I think we need to get rid of it. But if we get rid of it, are we gonna get somebody complaining that we didn't take care of it? We didn't file charges. That's why I could have got rid of it a long time ago. But when I went to get rid of it, I was informed that if you do that, well, we think criminal charges should be brought up. So that's what I've been pushing. So do we want to do that or do we not?
I don't know, just that it's taking a lot of time. I really don't know what that neighborhood wants, but they keep complaining about it. That's the only thing I can say. The other thing is, I'm upset. The fact is that those who enforce the ordinance have no problem enforcing it on me, but surely missed this one in the middle of the street. And this is an abandoned thing that was dropped from the beginning and it continued to sag on. So I don't care, whatever the commission wants to do is okay with me, but the whole deal is that this thing it seems like it doesn't die, it just keeps going.
I agree.
It's a never ending story,
Let me ask this, what's the possibility of getting rid of it and still filing, because it's still, whether you get rid of it or not, it's still a criminal act, and it was a criminal act.
It is.
Not likely, based on the lack of success we've had on it with previous administration trying to take care of this situation. It's he said, she said, there's no hard evidence. It's debatable. It didn't hold up in court and the process in which State Parks was trying to handle it. Therefore, if that already failed one time, the chance of us being successful now, I highly doubt.
Well, the deal is that there's an expense in getting rid of the object. It has to go to the owner, whoever the title is, and therefore the city has to go after them to recuperate the expense.
That I can agree with. That I think we'd attempt to, but I guarantee
We
we'll
should
get
just
it.
go in that direction, and he has got plenty of city time, employees' time, and it's time for us to get
And
rid of it.
personal time and money.
And right now, it's being in storage, and actually the city, with state regulations, you can actually charge whatever you want for storage, And that could be added on to the disposal, expense. So we can go to court and recuperate some of these costs that has cost us in storing that thing and being harassed. I don't know, the harassing part of public servants, but I mean, the other part is we have stored it, we have moved it, we have done everything in it, and we should get our money recuperated.
We could attempt.
But at
I'll do
least,
my best to
and if
try
he
to-
doesn't, and if it's above the thing, and any property he owns in the state of New Mexico, let's put a lien on it. That's all I can say. And that means, feel like we have to deal with it here. The other thing is, how's the progress on the Second Street project on the street?
My opinion, I think it's going great.
Is it?
Yeah,
I had
they,
an update on it.
They concluded this week, I believe, with the sewer utility installment, and they're on schedule, if all goes well, to do water line connections next month. Thanks to Ralph, Connie, Andrew, people associated with the project, communication's been better. The contractor was able to put out an actual project construction timeline, and that's helped, I think, to let some of the residents and the occupants of those buildings know what's going on, the expected time schedule. Those don't always go to plan based on weather or hiccups throughout the project, but at least it's out there, and I think that's been a lot more palatable to the business owners out there. It helps. So it is going well. There's been a few issues, like, again, with any construction, you're gonna have issues. They've been addressed. Just had an issue this week, but it's already in the process of being addressed. So other than that, it's going well.
Good. How about your Second Street building that is dilapidated down there? You said you were working on something about 3-4 months ago.
Still the same. I'm not gonna say too much about it other than there is a plan. Some things turned sideways for a period, and we're still hoping to get that resolved. There's some conversations that have been confidential that I'm not gonna relay in public.
No, I don't expect you to, but let's not procrastinate for another 2 years.
Correct.
Move forward. And then Mr. Nick Garcia, godfather of the Northside Park, wants to know how come you're not water connected?
It is being watered. I explained this last commission meeting. The Parks Department has been watering it manually. Fortunately, there's some issues with the sprinklers. So last time I went, it looks good with that new paint. The grass was fairly green. I know it's been hot. We haven't been having as much rain, but it has been being watered. It's just, I know he specifically requested it was watered in the evening, and I didn't feel it was appropriate to pay employees overtime just to water that specific park when we don't do it with others. The Parks Department has been assisting with many things. We have a lot of things going on. City Hall, as you can see, coming in. We have some construction in progress. They've been helping moving furniture in and out. They've been assisting with the YCC group. So once the YCC project is done this week, there have been numerous projects that the parks have been working on by prioritizing them, and that is on the top of the list, and we'll be working on getting that so it's watered more consistently. But it is being watered.
Okay. All I know is just looks, well, the temperature 100 and some,
Right.
it just sucks up the moist out of it. The other thing is, the coronavirus, I noticed that our numbers keep going up. It's kind of hard, and I hope we all work together in bringing it down because of the vaccine, like the governor said, the sooner we already hit the curve, we're leveling out. The sooner we get it down, the sooner, it even looks great, even like McKinley, who was huge, is really down. Bernalillo, I'm surprised how down it is. It's amazing to see that now the rural New Mexico is really going up for the population. I noticed that Coy, Guadalupe, Union County have really gone up. And there was the ones that were the last ones to get in there. Hopefully, everybody continues to practice social distancing and the mask that went on the public. The thing that if the sooner we kind of cooperate and work together on it, the sooner some of the business who are suffering will be able to reopen, because it sounded very promising with the governor, the way she was talking, not today, but the other day on the news release, and she was all happy that he had lined out. So if we keep going down, it looks better for everybody who's suffering financially right now. So please try to do the best you can.
And I have, Commissioner, received some complaints in regards to some of the city employees not wearing masks. The city has, I brought this up last meeting as well, we do have guidelines that I emailed out that they are expected, when they are in front of the public or cannot be more than 6 feet away from each other, that they should be wearing masks. And I have followed up to reiterate that with certain departments and letting them know that they're not exempt from that policy. That is something that's meant to help out the community. If we're expecting the community to do that, then we should be good stewards ourselves as public employees and do our part as well. Anybody could have their personal beliefs outside of work, but inside the purview of the city of Tuncumcari, when you're a city employee, you are expected to follow certain policies. That will be expected.
I have seen your park workers with their masks on, even on the truck, and I thought that was great. I did get some complaints, I related to you on people saying, well, the city employees don't put them on, why should we? You know, if they wanna go after me, they should go after the employees first. The whole deal is, and I know that you said earlier that the city can't do any much about it. I think in many communities, they have gone and put some stricter rules. If people do not want to be, where the city will get involved, let's keep those numbers down. You know what I mean? I think that's a sensible and most easiest way to deal with this whole matter. Let's all work together, let's get it out of the numbers, get it down to where everything will be great. I mean, it's just one of those things that happens, and we have to just be cooperating with everything, because I know that in my office, you're not allowing in without the mask, everything we have to disinfect. It costs a lot of money, but at the same time, we want to make sure that other people don't become our victims. That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Duplantis?
Well, I was gonna talk about the vote too.
You want it?
I know excuses in the past was we couldn't get a title. And I've looked at the documentation, and I believe we can obtain a title if one is needed to get it to the salvage yard. But again, I had that solution over 6 months ago, and I was told by the same people complaining that, well, no, we have to go after somebody. So this could have been gone and not even at the Broom Factory over 6 months ago, I think, is when we left it. I have no problem getting, and I'm gonna tell you, it's not just me, but there's people in the community that don't live in that districts wanting to help to get rid of that thing. You know, so it's not just, you know, let your people know that there are people that are concerned, myself being one of them, that, and I'm not gonna name names, but one individual actually is a business owner that lives out in the county, is willing to do whatever it takes to get that thing moved. I agree, you know, wholeheartedly with Mr. Pacheco and yourself and everybody else that was a safety hazard, and that's why I got with the city manager and said, well, we need to do something, I don't care, let's just get it moved. And that's why we moved it in there. It wasn't to hide it or anything else or to shut anybody up. It was specifically, you know, yeah, I know I can see kids getting through there. I was a kid once, and the thing is, it's just not as easy. And I'm gonna tell you, when we went to move it, it started sliding off. It was not a safe, it was not safe at all. You know, matter of fact, we stayed kind of pretty far behind. But anyway, I haven't forgotten about it. Believe me, I haven't forgotten.
I think, and I understand, the commission is really giving directions on this, and I understand that part, but the problem was, and this is what, you know, we used to have a towing company, and I know what any motor vehicle department, you know, we want to do it legally, we don't want to get anybody in trouble, we want to do things right, and that should have been done then, you know, it should have been done.
I agree.
Exactly, and if you don't have, like you do with any trailer or things, that if you cannot find a number, you get the state police to issue a number to get rid of it. And that's why when I was told misinformation, I said, I'm not arguing anymore, because this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
But anyway, if we can move forward, I'd like to get that moved forward. I had somebody come up and ask me, and I've been meaning to get with you, but tonight was actually the first time I could ask you. Do we have some type of, don't answer until I finish, a farm animal ordinance? And I'm saying farm animal, I don't know if this would be considered a farm animal, but there's a citizen that lives in the community, and she has, I guess, toy goats. She has two of them, and she would like to, but she doesn't wanna do it. There's an ordinance stating she can't have the little toy goats.
There's not.
It only speaks to carcasses.
Okay. And that kind of inadvertently leads to another question. Do we have any ordinances right now that, other than the nuisance ordinance, that we can stand on? Because from my understanding, the last conversation we have a lot of ordinances that are out of date.
Maybe two.
So,
There are a lot of ordinances that are out of date, and we definitely need to revamp that.
you know, I'd like to request sometime that we start working on that. Anyway, that's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Arias?
Thank you, Mayor. So the governor put out a tweet the other day that was ranking New Mexico as 50th when it comes to response to the census, which is not a good spot for us to be. So New Mexico is already facing the economic downturn of the oil and gas industry, the economic problems with COVID. So I do ask everyone again, please go ahead and go online, fill out your census. It's fairly easy, just takes a couple minutes, 2020 census.gov. Less than 5 minutes and you can help your community out. Another thing that came out of the emergency session of the legislature was $400 million for loans to small businesses. That has opened as of last week for those applications. So the maximum that an individual business can obtain is $75,000. So again, there is required documentation that is needed to apply for that loan. I believe it is 2 years, interest-free, I believe. I mean, the money will need to be paid back at some point, but the state is trying to offer some type of relief and help there. That application can be found at the New Mexico Finance Authority website. So any business owners who are looking for any COVID relief, this is purely through the state of New Mexico for any businesses that are registered in the state of New Mexico. So again, the New Mexico Finance Authority, $75,000 out of a $400 million pool. Commissioners, I would like to give you an update. This last Tuesday, I did attend the Ute Water Authority meeting in Clovis. Part of that discussion was the JPA needs to be revised. And the discussion was, there was 3 entities that have pulled out of the Joint Powers Agreement, the JPA. And the question was what to do with them, if they're allowed to remain on the board. There was also the discussion of what to do with their allocations of water. I do regret to inform that the entities who have sold off their water, they are going to be allowed to remain on the board as influence, but they will not have a vote. Which, in speaking with the mayor and the city manager, it was decided that it was probably going to be in our best interest to not allow them to remain. And that is the way I voted. I did vote for those entities who sold off their water rights to be removed from the commission. That did not go in our favor. The next question was the question of their allotment. The Joint Powers Agreement, although it was shaky, there was enough evidence there to prove that, in my opinion, that their allocations should have came back to the commission and distributed pro rata. My opinion was the minority. That was not the way it was seen. The agreement was, and that they could sell off their water to whoever they wanted, and it did not need to come back for allocation. So at this time, Curry County, Roosevelt County, and Melrose are they're no longer owed any waters. They're still part of the JPA. Roosevelt County's allotment was already taken care of before this. The MOUs that were approved from Curry County to go to Clovis was approved that day, and the MOU to go from Melrose to Portales was approved that day. So the chances of any entity in Clay County ever receiving an increase in the allotments is slim to none. Again,
In other words, we got stabbed in the back.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And again, speaking with the mayor and the city manager, it was decided that that was not in our best interest, that we wanted that allotment to come back to the commission, us receive our portion pro rata. And again, that was not the majority. We did fail on that one as well. So that's where we're at. But the JPA does need to go before the Interstate Streams Commission coming up on September, the 3rd week of September. They are requesting that they have the JPA signed by all municipalities by the 11th. I requested that Tucumcari receive that by the 24th for our last September meeting, or our last August meeting. It would be my recommendation that, I mean, we still have a dog in the fight. We do need to go ahead and sign that JPA, remain at the table. We're under some restrictions there.
Anything else?
No, my blood's boiling, I'm good.
Yeah, all right. Well, last but not least, I did, Mrs. Gonzalez on Turner and Monroe has contacted me for about the last month, and I've been over there. Oh my goodness, the property in back of her is an abandoned house, and there's squatters in the backyard, and they're digging a sewer. So our nuisance ordinance needs to get with, instead of picking on people because their weeds are growing out of the sidewalk, let's get rid of this.
Here.
Yeah, and that's at Turner and Monroe, and she's contacted me several times, and so she said, if you would come over, and we went down the alley, and I wanted to throw up. It's gross. So anyway, and plus, if they dig into our sewer system,
That's illegal.
it's illegal, yes, okay. All right, so that I would like for the nuisance ordinance to get on that. So, also too, school has sort of started. I'm not sure exactly how it's going, but, anyway, keep our teachers and administrators in mind because they've got a tough job ahead of them, as do the students. It's gonna be a all new situation for them. Don't forget the farmer's market on Saturdays and Tuesdays and Saturdays, and man, they have had some beautiful, beautiful vegetables, especially. Yeah, Wells Park, and it's from 10 to 12 on Saturdays, but you don't get there at 10 or you don't get anything. Get there at 9:30 and get in line.
It goes fast.
Yeah, and hope that somebody in front of you doesn't buy all the vegetables, because that happened to me Saturday just about.
So that's good.
Yeah, it is
At
good.
least they're selling out.
That's right.
Well, they work hard.
And they do, and the squash is beautiful, and the eggplant, oh my goodness. So anyway, support our local farmers because they are working hard. And other than that, thank you all for participating. We had a good meeting tonight, so if there's nothing
Madam
else.
There's one thing I forgot.
Okay,
I'm gonna end on a high note.
okay,
So I do want to thank Tomas and his staff. I know the city put it out on my Facebook page, and it's not often I get to steal someone else's thunder, but their hours at the tree dump have changed.
oh, good,
They are Tuesday through Saturday,
yay,
noon to 4.
all right.
Noon 15 to 3:45.
Yes, and it's noon to 4, but the reason we say 12, 15, and 3:45 is because the employee that's employed out there, he needs some time to come into work, get a city vehicle, get out there, and then, of course, close out and get home.
Yeah.
So, 12, 15 to 3:45.
So that's great news for those who are working 8 to 5,
Yes, it is.
because you can now get your stuff done on Saturday.
Yes, good. All right, thank you so much for telling us that. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All second?
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Gamera,
Yes.
Commissioner Arias,
Yes.
Mayor Litchfield,
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Duplantis.
Yes.
Commissioner Webb.
thank you, guys. Good meeting tonight.